Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Wales of Wall Street, Zilliqa on our radar today, ZIL on the exchange. Guys, this is one we've been holding for a long time. Of course, the price, which we'll go into in a minute, has indeed been quite low compared to where it was last year, but I think we could probably all agree the majority of assets have indeed followed this similar pattern. Nothing major really coming out of Zilliqa recently, other than what we sort of pushed in the last video was around their Metropolis advancements. We did have actually a video quite recently coming out around Mad Lions, which is a massive esports team, so that's really cool to see that transition and coming through as well. The continuation of the marketing throughout the metaverse narrative, of course, big topics still, and Zilliqa is going to definitely have some form of very much influential pathway to this metaverse. Here's the video. Go check this one out from probably about, I don't know, a week ago now. Very interesting. A person here walking around on his virtual boat in the Metropolis background, which we saw in one of the previous videos. So nothing major as such development-wise to report on, so we can pretty much skim through most of that and jump straight into the chart for you guys. So right now, I just wanted to pinpoint this move really that we've had since these earlier regions back here. Last May, can you believe it? Last May was when we were up at these high levels of around 25, 26 cents. I mean, it's incredible, really. I was fortunate enough to be buying Zilliqa back in 2020 when it was, I can't even remember, it was like 1 cent or something. It was crazy. And I didn't sell any. I put mine straight into staking once I got my ledger. I was very interested in holding Zilliqa for a long time. In hindsight, of course, I could have made quite a substantial amount here and perhaps traded some off, particularly the rewards that I must have got from Zilliqa staking, which have been quite good, to be fair. I think the APY that I'm currently on is, I have to double check, I think it's around like 10% or something. I may have made that up completely, I can't remember, I have to look later. But my point being is that the lesson has been learnt on that. We're now down at these lower regions. I want to pinpoint something out here. So we're currently floating around 3.8 cents. Let's call that pretty much 4 cents, right? Now, obviously, that's an advancement on where I was purchasing previously. When Zilliqa got to 10 cents, this is where I stopped buying. Because I was like, oh, what should I do with this? It came back down relatively quickly. It was pretty much like within 2 months, we dropped back down to around this 5.4 cents. So not too far off where we are right now. But that was kind of like me saying, I do believe in Zilliqa, but I've been buying at these lower regions and I want to see where this goes. I was anticipating it to potentially at that point go a bit higher than 25, but that was perhaps the ignorance that I had last year in that sort of area of time. Looking back now, of course, it does indeed look absolutely mental. I mean, look at that. It's pretty much around about an 84-85% drop from that top period last May. So there's plenty of room for us to grow Zilliqa back up. Of course, back in these areas, predominantly most projects, you see this V here in July. This is a very, very repetitive pattern here, this V, in majority of assets. Go and check any chart out. You can, without even looking at the dates, you could easily identify. Sorry, I think we're being attacked by Chinooks again. Excellent. This is the where you'll see this action, and this was a really definitive part for a lot of traders out there with these other extra moves that came in the following months. But my point being is that this big drop now is almost signifying like, it's not gone as crazy as like 90-95%. I think that would be absolutely disastrous. But with the marketing team and everything that's come out now for Zilliqa, the new heads like Sandra, for example, the things that they are doing, and more importantly for me, the ecosystem that is being built on Zilliqa. We are so early, guys. Like, Just naming like a few. I mean, you've got XCAD, for example, which is absolutely phenomenal project. And we've got this metaverse on the top list. I mean, I think when we did the video a few weeks back, it was hundreds and hundreds of projects being built on Zilliqa. It's absolutely exciting. So I'm sort of sitting here now, like I'm buying Zilliqa at these current areas for sure. I mean, we'll just go and zoom in a bit more on the current status. If I can try and get rid of this price range, here we go. So currently, I probably just need to adjust as well. Just probably should have done this before I started the video. I'm just going to put one on a monthly, roughly a month. Here we go. So if I drag that down to this point, there we go. So right now I'm buying Zilliqa. I have been under its 5 cent mark for sure. When we hit these like higher points, I've been waiting for further dips. Can we come lower? That is absolutely a possibility. We had these buy areas in probably a couple months ago, I think. Maybe just towards the end of January. And this top range, we've hit a couple of times now. So I've had some really good bags come in around 3.7 cents. And indeed, this drop down was very helpful. We had this lower region hit at around 3.5 cents as well. Do I think that's going to come back down to this area? I think it's definitely possible. There's a couple of RSIs and MACD things I want to consider for that theory. So at the moment, we're very much touch and go on the MACD potentially switching over. This is where I think if we do switch over, we might pull this back down to a final, maybe last check off of that 3.5 cent area. And the other things as well is the RSIs have bounced up nicely around here at the beginning of March, but slowly diminishing, very slightly. But as you know, I do love on the 14 and the 28 days to take DCA opportunities around this 40 mark with anticipation that we may come down a bit lower in this bear momentum. The other thing as well to consider is these volumes. Okay, so we've had really good volumes in and out over the last few months since December, but more recently the selling has partially died off, but equally so is the buying. It's really touch and go at the moment with the markets right now, in my opinion. I think like there's a lack of confidence. I think there's just obviously the narratives going on in the world. People are cautious, like, oh, what's going to happen? I generally think a lot of people are waiting for big drops. I feel that. I mean, is it going to be a repeat like we had with 2020 where things just went bad and then things just flopped? Of course, around the March time was pretty much when most countries went into pandemic phase and everyone just like sold off, like thinking, oh, what's going to happen? The uncertainty of the next few months. Do I need my money? And pulled out and things like this. And general narratives around the world do that for sure. So I think we're in this like limbo moment. And I see that in a lot of charts now, and I'm just going to pull this back up because what we're seeing in a lot of asset charts right now is this like stabilization pattern. It may not be as up and down like particularly this one, but in general, this hasn't really massively moved. Yes, you've had a bit of profit taking here, but if in aspect of the trend line, it's looking pretty organic. So we're now kind of like tailing off. Once you pencil it out and look at it a bit more long term, you do see a bit more of a stretch out pattern rather than something that's a bit skewed when you look at it like that. So I'm not massively concerned. I'm just going to take advantage of a project that is absolutely phenomenal and I see a huge future for. People always ask me like price predictions and stuff. I do think we could get to like that $2 to $5 mark by 2025. You might want to be seeing that earlier for sure. If things go well and narratives improve around the world, we might see that quicker. But I'm trying to be realistic and think, where was Zilliqa going when I was buying it at like 1, 2 cents, 7 cents? And I always had in my mind that the future goal for me would obviously have a sell-off area maybe around $1, but I would for sure be expecting at least $2 to $5 in a few years' time. That's where I think it would go. If you look at the research of this project, what it's about, I mean, it's efficient. The transactions are so fast and quick. The cost of the fees are so low, but more, as I said earlier, more importantly, the ecosystem that's being built on it, as well as the technology of Zilliqa. I think that this is so early, and for sure, I can imagine, whether it be this year or next year, or over the period of the two, to have this kind of move again over a few months period. I will be waiting for sure to take advantage of that this time round. But on the other side, I have been getting really good rewards on the staking. They have been safe and secure. So I haven't really massively lost out, I guess, in that aspect, other than probably could have accumulated a lot more ZIL for free, as it were, and put it back into staking. That's the only thing perhaps that I missed out on in that last run. So that's a learning for me. But guys, let us know what you're doing with Zilliqa in your portfolios. Have you been accumulating, holding, selling? Don't need to know bag numbers, just keen to know what everyone's been doing recently. And your opinion as well, like where do you think this is going? I do think I will for sure, I mean, I've been attacking this area a couple of times recently anyway. Look at that, 377. I've been hitting those on the head, as it were, certainly the last few days. But I'm still waiting, just waiting to see if we get also a 3.5, 3.4 marker down here. And that's not a massive jump down, really. But I do, as I said, think what's really nice to arguably see is this leveling off of selling and buying. So literally on a stabilized momentum. Last few comments here, performance-wise on the right-hand side, 2% down in the week, which isn't really that bad, to be honest. But of course, the others are all in red. And what's important as well, as we mentioned with that sort of like year-to-date, for example, that is slowly diminishing, albeit that we're around 67% now as the current price point. So we do need these to come back down. Clearly, we're obviously massively overpurchased back in these regions, and we're now trying to pull this back to where Zilliqa arguably should be in its lifetime. And actually, if you do the trend line perspective, we're pretty bang on. So I think we could have a good few months coming up soon. But we do need to keep an eye on what's going on in the world, as well as Bitcoin, of course. These do have massive knockoff effects on every chart. So, guys, we're going to wrap that up there. Thanks for watching, and do let us know what you're doing with Zilliqa. And we will indeed catch you in the next ZIL video. Bye-bye.